Good morning, everybody. It's Bob Phibbs, the Retail Doc. Today is the last Sunday in August. Are you thrilled? I am thrilled. It's an exciting time, and an awful lot of people are filling with hope of fall and things moving past summer. So I hope you share in that. And John, glad to see that you found me at 9 a.m. I guess there was confusion about it. And Sivan, glad you're here. Hopefully I've got that right this time. And if you're just joining in, please do me a favor. Give me some love. That's always important. Give me some thumbs up. Yes. And also go through and let me know where you're joining me in from, because we have people from all over the world on every continent. Every Sunday morning, I do this as a way to just make sure we keep it real. It's authentic, not scripted, except I do have the script of what you've asked. And I try to be of value to you and answer the burning questions you have about retail. So make sure that you at any time while I'm live, certainly enter in your questions and I will find them and select them. I have several today, but good morning, Susan. Good morning. Hey, Tristan, glad you're there. Roberta, glad you're there. I was struck by the news this week that Lord & Taylor has finally called it quits. They're going to liquidate, and they were in trouble since the 80s. And a lot of people were saying, it's a shame. But their time had come and gone. And I think it's interesting. I was just reading a long article about what happened to pennies. And, one of the things that we think, it was Ron Johnson 10 years ago. Well, actually, what it really was pennies was at the top of the mark. Pennies knew everything. They were based in New York. And their buyers knew every color story for the next 6 seasons out. They had a whole I want to say congruence, I guess, between departments being able to tell color stories in fashion, in home goods, in their window coverings, and they had their game on. You know what happened to pennies? What started them down a bad road? They went to Texas because the move was to save money. And the problem was their best people didn't really want to go to Texas. And so they lost all of that insight to try to manage the business better and be cheaper about it. And I think Pennies is one of the greatest brands ever made. But once we lose sight of the customer, we lose sight of margins. And, when I was first starting out, I decided I was going to get my first house by the age of 24. I had gotten my degree in conducting, as many of you know, and decided I did not want to teach school. And I didn't have the chops to really go to Broadway for a lot of reasons. And my part-time job became my full-time job. That's how I became really a great salesperson. And, I was looking for a guide. So I read Zig Ziglar's See You at the Top, classic book. If you haven't read it, it's a great idea of, selling and what we have to do and really our own confidence. And that got me thinking, set a goal. So I wanted to get the house. But then I also was going through and I would, how to win friends and influence people, and the greatest salesman in the world, Og Mandino, and the magic of thinking big, and Tom Hopkins, and learned all of his trial closes and alternative choice and porcupine closes. And I tried all of this. And at the same time, because I am motivated, at that time I had to raise the down payment, which, wait for it, was $10,000. But still, that was an incredible amount of money when I was hiring grown men for $2.10 an hour minimum wage. And so I would take as much information as I could. There was a whole study about how color influences buying behavior. So the hot pink color was one. So I'd wear hot pink color, or I was selling Western wear. So I'd do a scarf, or I'd do anything and see, did that make a difference? And sometimes that did, sometimes it didn't. Then I read a study about phenols. It was a scent that is in cologne, and it made people more open to your suggestions. So I tried all of that. It'd lower their defenses. And I tried everything, I thought. And ultimately, I had to let go of being somebody else and obsessing instead on how I spoke to customers. And then I just became a student of, well, if I say this, what happens? If I say this, what happens? And that became really my North Star, which really made the difference. Because once I learned how to do it, then I taught others. And in my store, I'm trying something new here today. In my store, the problem was it worked so well that the store was way out of whack with open to buy. So we had to go through and just jam this store full of merchandise because it sold so well. And that's a great problem to have, right? Because ultimately, if you really understand how to sell it, you can go through and then really clean up. And that's what we did. And so I encourage you to be thinking about being firm on a goal, being really committed to it, and then looking for that guide. And I want to be that guide. And I'll tell you a little bit further. Some of you have already jumped in. I'm going to tell you about my offer that I revealed this week, which is only for 25 people. Give you some information, answer any of your questions in the middle of all of this. But just understanding that passion to be a student of consumer behavior, a passionate student is where we start from. And if I can save you that time, there's a story I told this week about there's a baker in Brooklyn, and he's come up with the best dark chocolate cake. Took him 25 years, right, to make. Well, if I go to that guy and I buy that recipe, do I have to wait 25 years for me to go through and make that cake? No, I cut my learning curve. And that's basically what SalesRx and what I'll be sharing with you. You can cut your learning curve and ultimately be those ones who are making margin instead of writing me and saying how you're losing money or you're having tough times. And even those of you who are on LinkedIn who are watching me across the world from Mexico, we've got Togo, we've got India, I've got London, I've got Canada, all kinds of ways. Osaka, Japan, thank you, Makoto. Ultimately, I don't care where you are in the food chain of retail. You take your eyes off the customer. If you don't obsess on the customer, then you are going to be settling for crumbs when you have the feast. You're going to be stepping over dollars to pick up the pennies because you're going to think, oh, we need to cut staff. We need to cut. And there's a certain amount of that. But so many retailers have cut past the fat, past the bone, into the very veins of the organization, and then figure that somehow magically people will respond to that. And I'm telling you, it's the exact opposite. I don't care what digital, whatever they come with, there's nothing that is going to take the place of face-to-face human connection. And we're doing this now. It's great to do it virtual, but there's nothing about in person. We're going to go back to stores. People are already going back to stores. Some of you are meeting with great success. And just understand that you're going to have to do a better job, because as online has been able to steal market share, as the big, quote, essential retailers were able to stay open when most of you were closed for 2-3 months, they're not going to go back. They're going to use all that money and those tools to come after you. Your only way is to obsess on the customer and your four walls. That's not to pat yourself on the back. Our customers love us. They don't all love you, and I don't care about the ones that love you. You can treat them badly, and they'll come back. What I care about are those new people when they first walk in the door and how they're treated and what they feel. So that gives you my overarching thought for the day, and glad to see so many of you here today, all over there. From Toronto, we've got Saudi Arabia, Puerto Rico. I don't know how to say it, Linda. Sorry, Vermont. Poland. We got a whole bunch of you here today. And again, don't forget, I'd still love you to just type in the comments and let me know where you're joining in from, because that makes a difference. And don't forget, give me some love. Give me some hand gesture on LinkedIn, because that's the only way the algorithms know. It's the only way I grow my message and the only way I help more people. So let's get into it. We've got about 5 or 6 questions today. Bryce says, one of the toughest things for small business owners to sell something for less than they paid for it, as we often look at the profit loss on each individual transaction. Can you discuss your take on how it benefits us to discount to below cost to move merch off the shelf, and why all the big box stores routinely do it? That's a very big discussion there, Bryce. I think, do you buy a salad? So I eat a salad a day. It's a healthy thing to do. And I buy all kinds of lettuce and all that stuff. When I throw it out, am I mourning it and saying, oh, but I paid this $5 for this? Am I sitting over there and obsessing on it? Or am I saying, I wouldn't eat that? Because ultimately, your merchandise is like milk. It goes bad. Trends change. Colors change. People, for whatever reason, decide to go somewhere else. And you holding on to it isn't going to help. I remember I had a client, a motorcycle dealer, and they had all these pegboards of all these little yellowing plastic bags full of different parts and things. And I was like, dude, you just got to get rid of that. He's like, no, someday it'll be, people come in and I'll have it. It's like, yeah, but you're wasting that space. You're hoping that someday, 20 years from now, someone's going to come in for a vintage motorcycle and they're going to say, oh, do you have this part? And you can like, yeah, I finally got my money back. Problem is, that space could have been better used by something people actually gave a damn about in 2020. Does that make sense? And why do big boxes do it? For one simple reason. Again, they know that retail exists to answer a customer's question, which is what? What's new? That's it. So if the stuff is getting old, if it's getting tired, they're going to find a way to get it out of there, move it out. And frankly, what they buy it for is less than what you buy it for. But again, you look to the big boxes. And so many of you get this kind of a chip on your shoulder about anybody that's a franchise or a big box, like they're evil. It's like, no, they have a system. They know exactly their numbers. They're not going by, well, I really feel I like this. Oh, I love that little widget. It was so cute. I've got to have 20 of them. They're like, we make enough margin on this that it justifies it being on the sales floor. It does? Great. Let's figure out the system. What's marketing going to do? How are we going to email? What's social going to do? What are we going to tell the crew? How are we going to make sure we hold them accountable? How do we know the numbers? Should we reorder, etc.? But we don't have that because, again, let's face it, smaller businesses, you're juggling 18,000 hats like I am. We tend to pat ourselves in the back like, well, I'm not like them. Well, you know what? Maybe we should consider being like them, because there's a lot of smarts to marking down merch that is not making you money. I hope that helped. Justin says, I hopped in, you're talking about colors to help sell. Yeah, hot pink, try that. It worked for me for a while, and then it just didn't. Do different scents help people break out their wallets? Yeah, well, I just covered that, Justin, so you can rewatch that when you have a chance. Terry, we are heading into the holiday season. By the way, if you're just joining me, I need some love. I need some applause. Otherwise, the review, the algorithm doesn't work. So do me a favor and help me out. Terry, we're heading into the holiday season, which for most small retailers used to mean 30-50% of our yearly sales, of course. As a small retailer, we're less than 1,000 square feet. How can we realize higher sales volumes when our shops can't be packed with customers because of social distancing? And people need to be quicker making buying decisions to allow another customer in the door. So, Terry, first off, you have to start from, I think the attitude that I'm hearing in this is like it's a feat we can't climb, instead of saying, how am I going to get an extra 20% of customers to buy 10% more merchandise this year? And I think if you start off from that, then you start saying, okay, how do I create a wish list with my best customers? You know, in investor circle, they call them a whale investor, like the big ones. Well, they're your best and brightest. So how are you going to help them build a wish list? How are you going to get out to them early enough to say, send us your wish list and we're going to help you fill it, or schedule a time and I'm going to go through your wish list in 15 minutes and make it easy. And I'm going to start doing that in September. That's right. I said September, because as soon as you get merchandise in somebody's, into their shopping cart, it's less money that's going to go to a competitor. So that's number one I would do. Number two, I would be talking about pre-buying, that they could go through and set a certain amount of money and set it aside, and you'll work together with them over the course of 2 or 3 installments. Like maybe you're going to do one that just to show them around the store, another one you're going to actually go through the matching their wish list to your items, and then the other one is going to be, when do you send it out? I don't know. And then the third one I would do is moonlight shopping. Why the hell are stores still working on we're open 10 to 5? Make your appointments at 9 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock at night when the kids have gone to sleep, because they've been taking care of their kids. We have to start thinking about, how do we get in front of them in new ways? And instead of this is a really dangerous assumption to say people need to get in quicker and make their buying decisions so another person can enter. That is going to be a race to the bottom, because they're going to find what's on sale and they're going to say, oh, I'll get this and I'll wait on that. And the wait on that is where your profit is. I hope that helps. Do me a favor, jump in, give me some comments. If you have any comments, let me know. Give me some love. All right. Jason says, with COVID being a thing and product being at a shortage, appliance sales, how do you navigate an environment where not only your in-stocks are low, but the availability is next to none? Yeah, that's where we're going through an awful lot of industries that are doing really well. RVs, pools, bikes, mobile sound, electronics. We have customers coming in on the daily looking for appliances we can't even get until October, November. I hate telling them it's hard. How can you turn the sale when they have to wait more than a month? We understand everyone's going through something, but how do we make them stay? So just remember that e-com has already taught people to give us money and then we'll get it to you. So make sure you're doing a check on yourself, that you aren't putting this stuff into your sales process, because I'm afraid if you're nervous or apologetic, you're going to waffle. So you want to start from strength and say, these are the clear distinctions. While you're browsing with us, these are the items that we can deliver today, free, 1 hour, whatever it's going to be. And the other ones that we can do special orders with, but come up with an irresistible offer, right? If you buy your appliances from us today and we have to wait more than fill in the blank, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we're going to give you maid service for a month at your house, just to say, we're sorry, wish we could clean things up. We're going to help you. Or you're going to go through and do laundry service. I don't know, whatever it's going to be. But I'll tell you, I bought a refrigerator about right at the start of COVID, so March, and it was supposed to be in stock and delivered. It took 3 weeks to get to me, and I was pissed because I didn't have that refrigerator. That's one type of purchase that, waiting is a big deal. If it's a remodel and I've got time, then remember, your goal is to think like a customer. That's all I want you to do, is obsess on the customer. What would it be like? They come in with their heart open. They think, well, everybody's got these. Lowe's has got them, whatever. But they haven't really come down to one that really meets their needs. So you say, well, when you buy from us, we're going to give you text communications. We're going to over communicate where it all is. But you have to really come up with the idea, Jason, that we're going to solve this. I'm going to obsess on the customer. That's what your meetings are every day, instead of sitting around on FaceTime or Facebook and patting yourself on the back like, oh, we're doing social. It's like, that's not important. What's important is when that next person comes in the door, how big a sale can you make it? So instead of coming from lack and we don't have it, notice your body posture. Yeah, it's really hard when you say that, if your body posture is like this versus, a lot of demand has gone up. People are investing in their homes, and we are here to make sure that we get you the right appliance without too much hassle. So here's what we're going to do. And you just take a confident stand. So I hope that helps. All right. All right. Eli, looking if I've seen retailers using their Instagram stories really well, and if I have some good suggestions for content. So Eli, I did this really quick. So I will show you. These are 4 that I thought did really well. If you don't know ASOS, I think they do a really nice job. I think they tell their value statement at the top really well. If you look at it, it's a combination. Now, again, I went through fashion. I don't have toys in front of me, but if you haven't followed Steve Spangler, you absolutely should. Steve Spangler is amazing on Instagram. His stories are a textbook of what to do, and they're authentic, and they're just done on a phone. If you don't follow him, the other one to follow would be Gordon Ramsay. If you want to see how a brand does it, same thing, authenticity. But I think they do a really great job, I think, showing men and women. But the key on any story on Instagram has got to be colorful, and you've got to be able to understand it really quickly. Who are you? What's your value proposition? And Piper and Scott, I didn't say that one. Hello, Molly. I think Piper and Scott does a really good job. And I really liked all their little, IGTV, the episodes they've done, and the Minimalist Baker, who I think also, but they've got a really strong visual component. And you know what? I don't do Instagram that well. I do some of it, but quite simply, my marker is LinkedIn and Facebook. That's where I find my people. So I encourage you to have your youngest, employees help you with it, search them out, but realize it's about catching our interest really quick with colorful visuals. That's the best example I can give you, Eli. I hope that helps. Again, if you're just joining me, make sure you give me some thumbs up, give me some love. We are live across all of our social media today. Charlotte, how do I push through the pain of engaging customers in a virtual atmosphere when they may not be comfortable with the medium of Zoom or FaceTime? What can I do to make it enticing to engage with me and my brand? The number one way you make that is just what I'm doing with you. You want to be engaged and authentic. So if you're a little flighty or you're silly or something happens, don't stress on it and make it easy. But I think an awful lot of retailers, smaller retailers especially right now, are caught up in the idea, whoops, I meant to take it off of that. There we are. I think an awful lot of retailers are bringing that into their mindset, and they think, oh, my customers aren't like that. Look, even grandparents are on FaceTime and Zoom now. That's one of the things that's made this such a great time for opportunity, because you can reach customers in so many new ways that we've never had 5 or 6 months ago. So I encourage you to look at if it's your own issues, and if you're not engaging them, then maybe again look at your body posture. You're coming onto the screen. You know, your shoulders are slumped and you're kind of sitting in your chair and you're kind of sleepy. That's not going to get me because you really have about 3 seconds to gain our attention. And the problem we all have, I have it right now. I'm sure some of you are checking email, you're checking Instagram, you're doing all sorts of things. The problem is that it's distracted. And I read recently, where's my phone? I don't have my phone. But if I had my phone, something like 80% of videos are being seen on a mobile device right now, which means that if you've got these graphics and little tiny little things that you're putting for people to read, it's probably not happening. So consider that. John says, what are your thoughts about a % off or a discount, like 25% off eyewear or $100 off eyeglasses? John, you are damned if you do and damned if you don't. If you put 25% off, to me, it's kind of like, I don't really know what that means. I don't know the price point. If you say it's $100 off eyeglasses, instantly I'm thinking they're $1,000. And I don't think there's an easy way around it. I think the number one thing you want to do is have a sales process. The merch can't make that sale, and marking it down isn't going to do it. You really want the attitude to be, if you go through and you get the perfect eyeglasses for your face, you'd pay anything. So understand that your issues coming into it may be making this. It'd be very different if you found the perfect eyeglasses for me. I wear contacts, but if you had the perfect eyeglasses for me, and then you mentioned, oh, and by the way, these are 25% off this week, that's different. But if you're thinking you're going to market and you're going to have these little things about it, I'm not a big fan of it. Sorry. Jason from LinkedIn is asking me a question here. Jason, what advice would you give to a new business wanting to open a store, but due to our circumstances, online seems to be the driving force at the moment? Jason, you're going to have to decide in yourself. Is this a good time for us to do it or not? Either commit or don't. Do not tip your water in it. It can be punishing. You know, people decide to have kids. They decide to adopt kids. They decide to get a rescue pet all the time, and they know what the risks are, and they do it anyway. You hope in your heart it's going to work out, but ultimately you commit. And I would just say, either decide you have a unique proposition, you know your numbers, you know it's an undervalued market, and you have a unique way of presenting it. Dude, I am there. You know, more businesses open in what we call winter. We're in the economic winter than any other season because they see that everything is down and they see the opportunity. I said this almost every week, but you know, so many restaurants are going out of business right now. In 6 months, it's going to be a great time to open a restaurant because we're going to be hungry for trying new things, and we're going to be anxious to see what's new. And again, as I said before, retail exists to answer a customer's question, what's new? Alan, help me with next words from a customer saying, I'm just looking, waiting for something to jump out to me. Alan, that's like the worst thing. And I'll tell you, there's an easy way. By the way, I'm not always the most empowering when I say things, but Alan, this is your fault because you never say something that gets that kind of response. Because what you would have said to get someone to say that is, hi, can I help you find something? No, I'm just looking, waiting for something to jump out at me. That's why you never ask that question. You never go down that road, because if you do, you know that you're probably going to get a no or some version of no, which is what that is. So I encourage you to get sales training. There's no fallback to that, because once you've gone down there, once they've said no, you're kind of like that guy at the bar. So like, really, I can't buy you a drink? No, leave me alone. So we don't want to be that guy. Fair enough? All right. So we're going to hide that. All right, good. Jane says, how can I get double-digit sales increases every month? Wow, that's kind of amazing. You know, I have a story for you about this really quick, and let me show it here. So I want you to just envision that there is a castle. Okay, there is this castle, and it has this giant moat around it, and it's filled with snapping crocodiles, and they're vicious, and it's guarded by all kinds of guys with big pointy spears, and the castle has been set on fire, and way up in the very top there's a fire-breathing dragon that is just destroying the thing. And up in that very, very top room, up on the top left, is for you, over in the corner, is a $10 bill. It's yours if you want to go through that. Are you doing it? Yeah, hands. Anyone? Anyone? Are you doing that? Anyone? Anyone doing that? No, you're not doing that. Why? Hell no. Because the risk is too great. Now, what if I told you that up in that corner in that room that's on fire with the cinders falling down. That's where your family is, or a small child, or your favorite pet. You'd do anything to fix it, wouldn't you? And that's my thing, is that I think so many people come up with these kind of a nebulous goal. How do I get double-digit increases every month? Kind of like, I'd like a new flavor of kiwi strawberry in my margarita. It's just not a commitment. So ultimately, you've got to know an ultimate why. Why is it you want to do that? And then you have to go through and say, come hell or high water, I'm going to do it. If you do that, then I think you end up to start asking yourself better how questions. But if it's just these general things, I think so many people end up having a really tough time with goals, because what they do is they end up just saying, well, wouldn't it be nice to? It's like that person like, yeah, I want to lose 5 pounds. That's not a goal. That's a wish. And so if you really want to double-digit increase your sales, obviously this is a key, because I do sales training, and that's what I've been doing for probably the last 26 years, probably 30 years of my life. And why do I do that? Because success leaves clues. I've already seen what it takes. I've already had enough no's in my life to last a lifetime. I've already trained tens of thousands of people, and I know what works and doesn't work. Success leaves clues. If you just follow that recipe, life gets easier. If you don't, if you still keep winging it, then ultimately it just becomes a wish. So I would encourage you at the end, I'm going to talk about my offer, and I encourage you to listen to that, Jane, because quite simply, I've never done anything like this, and my goal is to make you more successful, but it's going to come with your commitment first. Without a commitment, there's no point. And once you set a goal, you better set a deadline and an action to do with it, or again, it just becomes a wish. And then 5 months from now, you're sitting around saying, boy, I wish I had done that. And you're back in the same place. And I don't want that. All right. Mark saying, well, so if you want to clear merchandise and you sell it reduced or even under cost price, what would you suggest to have discount? If you're doing a clearance sale, Mark, clearance sales should be marked as a discount. 60% off. Get it the hell out of there. Do it for 2 weeks. Get it out. If it doesn't sell, donate it. Do something with it. But don't keep playing this game. Again, bad milk doesn't get magically better with age. You're not magically going to say, oh, we'll make it into a milkshake and add vanilla. That doesn't happen. People just don't want it. And after it's been picked over, it's going to also attract a very different customer than the ones that are going to pay you full price. Does that make sense? All right, good. All right. I'm glad you like that, Jason. Beverly, how to pay great sales staff, sales versus administrative, hourly. Beverly, I always believe that you should be rewarding anybody who is going out of the way for you. This idea that, oh, we're not going to pay commission, and we say it, oh, we're not commissioned, so we're pure. That's ridiculous. To me, a commissioned salesperson, I want the highest person who is hungry to be rewarded. If they're not rewarded, I think you settle for people who are nice. And you know what? We got enough nice people on the shelf, on the retail sales floor, and they're not driving sales. Until we get people who are actually trained, who give a damn and obsess on the customer, I think it's just really a hard place to go. So yeah, I am a big believer in any version of a hourly or a hourly plus or a commission or some bonus program with real boundaries on it, which means I'm not going to, if you have $1,000 item and they sell it for 500, I'm not going to give you commission on that 500 because I already ate $500. So it's a little bit tricky, but you're in the right area. Keep doing that. All right. Good morning, Terry from Elk City, Oklahoma. I appreciate that. Corinne says, we are doing a store renovation pet specialty store and can choose between beige or black for fixtures and end caps. What do you suggest? Corinne, I always believe lighter is better in retail. Black tends to make things smaller, and it sucks the light out of the room. So particularly when it comes to your fixtures, beige would be my preferred choice. And I only have one more question from you, and then I'll probably go. Bridget, you say you disregarded my advice from a month ago in opening your first store in Massachusetts. I don't think I ever told you not to open a store. I said, if you're not clear on what you're doing, don't open a store. But I'm glad you're opening your store. That's great. All right. Steve said, can you tell us more about your sales training program? How does it work? Well, first off, Steve, I went to your Facebook page and I loved your cover photo, Resist Hate. That's great. So what is it? Sales RX is my online retail sales training. It's 100 lessons. We go through and you sign up, and the managers go through the training for about 2.5 weeks first, and then you have a meeting and you open up to your associates. We've been doing this for years now. We are training tens of thousands of people around the world, and it works if you follow it. And so what we did, this offer this week is for 25 users, we are going through, and if you sign up, it only costs you $1, and you can find the details are around, or I'll post it in here. You find up for $1 today, and then next Friday, or next Thursday, I guess it is, you will be charged $390 for the start of it, and then from then on, it's about $195 for 5 users. You can stop at any time. There's no monthly contracts, and then you add users as you need them, and that costs more money. But the difference here is we're throwing $1,000 of consulting with me for just those 25 for 5 weeks. I'm holding your hand. I'm making sure you go through it. I'm holding you accountable, and I'm making sure you meet with success more than ever. Yeah, you can buy SalesRx at any time, but realistically, having me to be able to dive into what you're going to be dealing with, because I can tell you the things that we notice are people feel uncomfortable with holding expectations. They get a little blowback, and they're like, oh, I can't do this, or any number of things. You're not going to be on your own. You're actually part of a group. We're going to be mentoring. And as you go through it, you're going to become a better owner and a better manager, because I'm going to share things that are not even in SalesRx, but are going to help you grow and ultimately get rid of the things that probably haven't served you really well for the last several years, and give you new tools so that you're going to look forward to coming to work. You're going to look forward to doing the sales training. And ultimately, you start seeing those green shoots happen in about 6 weeks with your crew, and that just builds more and more success. You know, one of our SalesRx users said, since using it, all my customers got nicer. And I said, Marsha, your customers didn't get nicer, you did. She goes, I didn't think of it that way. So if you're interested in it, it's going to lock down on Thursday. There's not going to be any more, and we start on Friday. So this is your time. This is the burning castle. If you decided, yes, this is what I want to do, then you can do it. You can actually watch the webinar. There's a link down. Just scroll down in my poster. You can watch it. It's about 30 minutes where I actually go through and explain a lot of what it takes to do goal setting. And whether you buy this or not, it's certainly going to make you a better manager and owner. And then ultimately, you sign up by this Thursday. It's only going to cost you $1 just to hold your place in line. And once we get to 25, we're going to lock it off. So I'm looking forward to hearing all the success stories 3 months from now when people say, wow, I'm so glad I took that initiative and did that for my business. So again, it's called SalesRx. You can go there, salesrx.com, and you can find out how to sign up in my, just scrolling down. All right, let's see. Any other questions here for this morning before I go? Ricky, district manager of 9 footwear urban clothing stores. Awesome. Looking for new content to continue to motivate my team while on my daily visits. The key, Ricky, is you have to go through and connect with each one of them in a personal way. So I would have a book where you write down 2 or 3 things you learned each day about them. You're not going to touch each of them every day, but make sure that you are following up, and more importantly, you're sharing something of yourself based on that. And if you want to find out how to do that even better, obviously sign up for SalesRx. Again, it's not a lot of money. If for me to go to you would be thousands and thousands of dollars. To get started is just, you know, a couple hundred. So I hope that helps. Revive asks, how can a small business gauge if we're doing well? Boy, that's a great question. How can a big business know if they're doing well, right? I'm seeing increase year after year, but this 2020 is same sales monthly. I think, Revive, I would be thrilled if you were at the same place as last year. Quite simply, there's nothing, I wouldn't say there's anything wrong. There are many headwinds we're all going through. There is a pandemic still on the loose in the United States and around the world. There's economic unrest with so many people unemployed. It's going to affect rents. It's going to affect disposable income. The unemployment benefits went away, so we're going to see that moving through the economy. And then also we have civil unrest. So there's no 2 ways about it. There's a lot going on. So I would pat yourself on the back, but then say, how could I do even better? Which again goes back to looking at how are you going to lock up those people who love you early enough in their holiday season, so you're not waiting to try to beg them to come in 2 weeks before Christmas. I hope that helps. Hey, Carl, glad you're here this morning from Greece. That's great. Roberta, I will post that. Again, you can scroll down and you can just watch the webinar, or I've posted there a couple times in my post. It's very easy to do. I think that's it. One last one. Linda says, a very narrow window. What do you sell? We have clothing accessories. Sometimes our regulars only come in every 5 or 6 weeks. Yeah, well, that's great. I mean, I think what we're looking for, again, there's only one way to grow your sales. You're either going to get people to buy items that are more expensive, so you're going to have to raise your prices. That's one way. You're going to come back more often, or you're going to get them to rave about their friends and bring them to your business. That's kind of it. So those distractions of going through and not focusing on the customer, I think really cost you, because your goal is to always know your numbers and build the average ticket, build the average number of people, build the average number of people coming back more often. Again, if you want to go into the webinar, I'll post both of these links in a minute when I'm off, because I'm just about done. You'll be able to go and watch that video. It's going to be 30 minutes. And if you don't have 30 minutes for me to share what you can do better about your business, then I got to ask you, are you really that serious about changing anything? You've been on this call with me for 35 minutes today. I've got a lot of love. By the way, you can always give me more love. You can give me more applause on LinkedIn. That's always good. But I think ultimately you're going to have to decide, am I in or am I out? Am I in or am I out? Am I really going to say, yeah, it's on fire, I'm committed? Or are you going to say, well, not really? And if that's the case, then be honest. Then just be honest, right? And if you learned anything from what I had to say today, I would love to see what you learned. So just put it in your comments below. Let me know what you got out of today. I'm going to leave because we've been on this certainly longer than I think I expected to, but I'm passionate about doing what I'm doing. I hope you are too, because if you don't bring passion to retail, you're going to end up like Lord & Taylor, or you're going to end up like Penny's, where people said, oh, they'll love us no matter what. And I hate to tell you, they only love you if you obsess on them first. I'm Bob Phibbs, the Retail Doc. Thanks for joining me in today. I appreciate it.